Hey everybody, welcome back. Well, I'm actually up at my dad's place right now. I was just ready to get going home, but he said, hey, before you go, let's run over to the neighbor's house real fast and let's see if we can grab those parts off of his MD to use on our TD-6. So we're gonna go do that real quick and let's see what we've got. Mr. Peacock. Okay, here is the parts MD. If you look down inside there, let me go on this side. It's missing some parts. Oh, let's get the starter off of it. Let's get the starter off of it, Dad. Take the starter right now and then the Magneto. I gotta be careful because there's some not so happy wasps down in there. Well, this is not a good design. There's no way to get this starter off without
splitting the tractor.
You've either got to split the tractor right here, or you have to take that whole transmission top off. Well, that is dumb.
Totally. Well,
we undo the bolts and then you can only move it back half an inch. Not even half an inch. Oh man. Well,
so much for that.
We did get the Magneto, so that's a win. And if we had Wasp Killer, we could have gotten that generator.
I can get the generator.
Okay, here is the Magneto off of that MD. But let's get this thing opened up and let's see what the internals look like. Well, the cap. That cap looks nice and clean inside, so that's good. The rotor, I have some bugs on it. And it's a little bit loose, but that's not too bad. Let's get this thing pried off. Just be very careful not to break things. Okay, there's the rotor. Not too bad. It's not worn down inside of there either. Okay. Now, let's keep going. Well, before we take apart, this is a little gear drive mechanism. Before we take that apart, let's take off this cover to the coil and let's look inside there. So inside here we have the coil, and the condenser will also be tucked down in here, right here. A little bit of corrosion right here, you can see. So, you can tell that's not a new coil. This gasket seems to still be in good shape. Well, it's not broken, so we'll set it aside so we don't break it right now. Let's see if we can get this cleaned out. Got it. I do need to remove, before I can remove the coil, I do need to remove the capacitor here. This is the nut right here that holds the capacitor in place, I believe. And so with that, we should be able to push this capacitor, yep, right out. There we go. So let's take off these 3 screws, and then we should be able to just pull that right off. Oh boy. There we go. And it'll also expose the points. Oh boy. It doesn't want to come. Ah, got it. Last one is right here. Got it. I don't want to unbreak anything, but let's just pry behind here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Right here, there's our points. Let's take those off. Let me get my little, end wrench. Now let's take out the points. Oh boy. Oh, got it. Didn't strip it. Oh. I swear when you're working on these, you press down harder than you. Okay. Here is the one surface of the points. Let me turn on my light. They're oily. They're not corroded. These might work. I think these would work fine. You can see there's not really any pitting. Maybe some very slight pitting right there. But those points look like they're in pretty good shape. Put that back together. There's the other surface of the points. Same deal. A little bit oily. And there's slight pitting right there. But I think these would still work. Okay, there it is. It's a tight fit. But there's the coil. And down inside there, you can see the rotor. Oh, it's pretty clean. Let me get a paper towel. You can actually see this should clean up really nicely. That is really pretty clean. That's good. Let's take this off the back. Spring is still intact. And there's the dogs. Okay, let's remove this. This is an aluminum housing. I guess this is aluminum too. Some of the other older ones I've seen, this is a steel housing. But let's remove these big machine screws right here, the bigger screwdriver. To remove these 4 screws right here, I'm just using one of these old school impact screwdrivers. Just putting it right in there. Let's try one more time. They usually come apart rather easily. Let's try one more time. There we go. Got it. Okay. I already did these other 3. Okay. There we go. Well, I have to apologize, and you will have to forgive me. I thought that I was recording, but instead I just took a photo. What I was trying to show in the video that doesn't exist is I was reassembling this Magneto after cleaning it. I lubed up the bearings. There's roller bearings on this side and this side. That's actually something that I like about these international Magnetos, is both sides of the rotor shaft with the magnets on it. It's supported on both sides by a nice set of roller bearings. So those bearings are all lubed up and greased. And then I've put the impulse coupling back together, and I sprayed a little bit of white lithium grease in there to just keep everything lubed up. Now at this point, I'm going to continue assembling, and I've got the points here. I'm not going to replace anything at this point. I'm just going to put the same ones back in, cleaned up. The points, the condenser, there's the coil, and we will repopulate this and see if we can get this working as is. Otherwise, I'll have to start buying parts for it. But it was actually pretty clean in here, a little bit greasy, but no corrosion. So I'm hopeful that we can get this to work with minimal effort. I'm just reassembling this right here. There's a couple of like phenolic insulator washers or spacers, whatever you want to call them, that snap in right there. And then we've got to kind of feed the coil down in there. And the lead on this coil needs to align pretty well with this wire right here. You can see this wire. It is a jumper that goes down here to connect to the points. So I always just leave those alone. I don't even take them out unless their insulation looks really worn and everything. We will just put this in here, the coil. It's a tight fit. There, now we've got that started. Then, let's see, so you can see on the camera. Oh, here's my capacitor or my condenser. And you just got to go through both of those wires right there. And then on the other side, let's get this special nut that screws into the end of the capacitor. Okay, that's connected now. Now we can press the coil down in place and align the screws that mount. Looks pretty close right there. There's that grounding strap that you got to remember. It goes right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and tighten that up and catch you back up when I'm done. There is this special little bracket right here that holds the back end of the condenser in place, and it just screws vertically down into the housing. Now let's turn our attention to the points. They are right here, and they're actually not too bad. I filed them a little bit to clean them up, but they're pitted, but I think that they might work okay. Here's this one. You can see it's a little bit pitted, but we'll try them out. If they work, we'll use them until they stop working. Otherwise, we'll have to buy some new ones. I've put a little bit of lubrication, a little bit more white lithium grease on this post. That's where the points pivot. And then this is the one thing I don't like about these magnetos, is this is always a little bit of a pain to connect. Okay, I'm just gonna slide this phenolic slider. This is why I don't like this. And put the other end, there we go, up on that post at the same time. Push them down in. That's now installed, and you can see here's the little cam, and when I spin it, you can see raises up right there. So now let's put in the lower contact. Okay, that lower contact is now installed, but it's still loose. As you can see, I can slide it up and down. We want to set these points to 1/13,000ths of an inch. There's my feeler gauges. We'll go grab those. We'll set those to 1/13,000ths when the top contact is riding up on the top of that cam, just like it is there. So you can see you want it at its highest point on the top of that cam lobe. And then we'll set this at 1/13,000ths. Okay, I just locked that down. We're right at 1/13,000ths. You can see that. 13. Okay, let's put the cap over the coil. And let's see if we can actually probably try to test this thing out as is. I think right now I can actually just plug in, and I'm going to be getting spark right here because the points are connected, the condenser is connected, and the coil is connected. And so all of the power, the lightning, is going to be coming out of this terminal on the top of the coil cap, and where it goes is into the center right here on the distributor cap. And then from the distributor cap, it goes through this button right here into the wheel. Well, if I don't care about that, if I just want to see if I got spark, I think I can just do it right now with this. And I got that down in there cleaned up with a piece of Scotch-Brite, and it's really nice and clean. So anyway, let's throw this on the tester. Let's see if this works. See if all this old stuff that I just spent a bunch of time cleaning is actually going to work. So the Magneto's mounted. I'm going to plug in the tester now. And let's plug this in. Okay, I'm connected to this terminal right here. So let's test and see if I've got spark on impulse. Watch right here. Ah! That always makes me happy. That was really strong. It was like bright white blue. Yeah, 2, 3, 4. This is pretty stiff. The impulse is pretty stiff, but I am getting spark there. Let's turn it on and see how consistent that spark is. Oh man, look at that. That is fantastic. So as you can see right now, I'm actually hooked up and I'm bypassing, as I mentioned, I'm bypassing the distributor and I'm just coming straight out of the coil. So I'm just getting spark every single Every single time the point's open here, it's sending spark right here to that terminal. In fact, let me show you. You can see right here, you can see the points just sitting there opening as it rides right there on the cam, right there. Man, that is fantastic. That is like rock steady. I know on the video it's probably not looking as steady, but you can hear by the clicking that it is not missing a beat. If it was missing, it would be very easy to hear by the tone of the spark. It wouldn't be a constant tick, 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 tick. Let's slow it down. Man, that is great. Let's check and see if the kill switch works. Let me put my phone back here on the on the stand. Let me grab a piece of wire. This will work. So I'm just going to go from that. Well, we'll just ground it out there. I'm trying to keep my hands out of the shot here. Oh yeah. Jeez. This could be one of the strongest running magnetos I've ever seen. Look at the sparks. I don't know if you can see the sparks that it's throwing off of the kill switch. Look at this. Well, now it's not really doing it. Maybe it will now. Look at that. Jeez. That is a hot magneto. Look at that. I am so happy. As I've been sitting here, it's been running for about 5 minutes. My camera's been running. And I have not heard it miss a single tick. Whew. Let's speed it up. You can hear the impulse starting to kind of tick back in there. It's just about ready to start engaging. So that's about as slow as I want to go. I'm actually going to speed it up a hair. Okay. I think we've got a really good strong running magneto. Well, I guess let's put the distributor portion of the magneto on there, and then we can test it again and see if we get spark. I mean, at that point all we're doing is just testing the distributor, but that's important, so shut that off for now. I am so excited. Yes. And take pictures. If you've never done this before, take pictures. Make sure that you can get it oriented back in the correct position. Okay, this is why I wanted to take it off. The grease that's down in here is just old, and I think it's actually doing more harm than good. I mean, it's basically just wax. I don't like that. So I'm going to clean these gears out and put some new grease in it. But we need to make sure that they are timed properly. Okay, hopefully you can see this. I'm not sure if you'll be able to. Not sure if the light on my phone is making it easier or harder to see, but there's an L and an R stamped into the base of this gear, and that stands for right hand and left hand. Correspondingly, on this little gear right here, I know it's dirty and hard to see still, but on that tooth right there, there's a notch, and that's your timing mark. And depending on your application, whether this is a right hand or a left hand rotating magneto, you will line that notch up with either the R or the L. In this case, it looks like it is lined up with the L, which would make me think that this is a left hand rotating magneto, which I think someone is going to have to correct me if I'm wrong. When I had this on my magneto tester, I had the magneto tester operating in the same direction as a John Deere magneto, which is a counterclockwise rotating magneto, meaning that this is also counterclockwise rotating magneto. I think that unlike a normal Farmall M or on a Farmall H, this H4 magneto would be rotating clockwise, not counterclockwise. I'm not positive on that. That's just from memory. So I'll have to verify that, and if I'm wrong, I'll put a little disclaimer down at the bottom of the screen. But in this application right here, you can see that notch in that tooth, that's the timing tooth, it is directly in line with the L. So now I can pop these out. Come on. I can pop these out and reassemble it in the same manner. Come on. There, that one's out. Now that everything's cleaned up, it's probably a little bit easier to see. I don't want to... Let me throw a little bit of grease down in here first, and then I'll reassemble the two gears and show you what I mean. I'm just packing a little bit of bearing grease down around that post, and then that will help lubricate that bearing as it spins. Okay, there's the L. Can you see that? Try it without the light. Is that easier to see? Then you can see that L. And here's this gear, and you can see there's the notch right there. Don't get confused and think that like a nick or something elsewhere on the gear is a timing mark. On these magnetos, it's always going to be that tooth that has the step in it. Right there. Okay, so now let's stick this in here and make sure that they are lined up. I'm going to have to do that off frame so that I can see it. So just a second. Now you can see the stepped tooth right. Oh, I don't know where my pick went, but here's a pencil. You can see that stepped tooth right there. And if I spin this, it is right in line with the L. So now we'll go ahead and I'll pack a bunch of grease around the rest of this and put it back together. Okay, I've got my light back on, and you can see that's all buttoned up. Spins nice and freely. I honestly don't know what type of grease to put inside of here, but I just use that light bearing grease, and I think that it will do a lot better than this old waxy stuff that's been in there for who knows how long. That's just an assumption, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Okay, let's put this gasket back in place. Where does it go? There it goes. Let's put this gasket back in place here. And install this onto the Magneto. Now we can throw the cap, excuse me, the rotor in place. Fits nice and tight. And then the cap. The inside of this cap is a little bit dirty, so I'm going to go spray some window cleaner in here and get that cleaned out just a bit. So this cap is cleaning up pretty well, but down inside these terminals, they are pretty dirty and corroded. Some of them aren't bad. Where we had wires attached, it's not bad, but these three are pretty bad. So the way that I clean those out is I just get a little piece of Scotch-Brite, cut a little strip of it, and then I just kind of twist it down in there until I get it all the way to the bottom. And you can even put the other end of this Scotch-Brite in the truck, in your drill chuck, like on a wireless drill, and sit there and spin it. And it does a really good job of cleaning out these terminals so that then you have nice, good contact with your spark plug wires. It's better, but I could still use some more. See? Look how well that cleans all of those terminals. So what we can do now, this cap, like I say, is perfectly clean down inside there, but it's pretty dull looking. And so a trick that I use sometimes to spruce this up is I use a little bit of Mop and Glow. Watch this. If I put Mop and Glow on a rag, and then I take that and I rub it on this cap, it will make it nice and shiny again. No more dull, ugly color. Sometimes you have to do a couple of coats, but in the end, I need to get some down in there. Maybe I'll just squirt it right on this. See? Now, it will dull just a little bit as it dries, but it will look a lot better than it did previously. It'll be nice and a darker black and a little bit shiny. And it also smells lemony fresh. So, just something that's kind of fun to do. Not necessary at all, but it can make your old Magneto cap look really pretty nice. And it's a heck of a lot cheaper than buying a new one. So, cool trick, I think. There it is, all reassembled. I just put the old wire back in. Let's go throw it on the tester and see if we got spark coming out of 4 terminals. That is a win. Well, with the Magneto sparking, I think that's going to sum up this video. And it's another step towards getting the TD-6 started. We've got the fuel system figured out. We've got the ignition system figured out. Now we just need to get the starter working. We did take it in to be rebuilt, but they wanted $300 to do so, which is probably just what it costs to do that work. But we're going to try to save a little bit of money. We're going to go back up and we're going to try to pull that starter off of that Parts MD, and hopefully it's in working condition. And then we can save a little bit of money. But that's going to be probably in the next couple of weeks. And, you know, I'm starting to get excited. I don't want to be overly optimistic, but with the spark that I saw today on this Magneto, man, I think we have a pretty good shot. Anyway, that'll be in an upcoming video. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, there's no obligation, but it does help encourage me to keep on putting stuff out when I see new people joining and I see comments and things like that. So thanks so much, guys. And as always, I will see you next week with another video.